Hey everybody, Joshua Heston, co-producer of Dark Ozarks.
Lisa Martin, co-producer of Dark Ozarks.
It is a beautiful afternoon at Shepherd of the Hills.
Yes, it is.
I still contend we have one of the most beautiful views. It's overlooking Mutton Hollow.
Oh, they picked the perfect spot for our tent.
They did. And for this event, State of the Ozarks, Dark Ozarks has the opportunity to be out here at Shepherd of the Hills for the Craft Fall Festival.
Yes.
And great honor to be able to be out here, visiting with folks and just being a part of what's going on. And Taney County, Stone County, we're right on the border.
Yeah.
And the Stone County line is just over that ridge.
Yeah.
And has a lot of really interesting history. Sometimes that history can be difficult to parse out because, quite frankly, because of all the tourism.
All the tourism and just kind of layers being laid down over time to focus towards the commercialism.
It is, and oftentimes, not necessarily purposefully, just the fact that it happens.
Right.
As it goes, and sometimes the stuff that we do that tons and tons of people find interesting, you all,
Yes.
Can get overlooked within the, I would say, the 80s, 90s tourism milieu.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't that long ago that if your location was haunted, that was bad for business.
It was very bad for business, and in this area, that time period, it was all about tourism.
Yeah.
And so, anything that might affect tourism was a no-no.
And almost, not saying that this happened, but in situations like that, you could almost see a blackout of documentation because people weren't talking about it, and it's a situation where you find these things out by talking to the people who work at places because they're in those places day in and day out, and it's like, this is something we can't talk about, but when I was there every night at whenever these things happened.
Exactly, and we get those kind of stories.
We do, and hats off to this larger community that has developed, that knowing that we're a safe place to share with.
Yes, and we appreciate that.
We do.
Because preserving stories, and so much of this kind of history and folklore is oral.
It is.
Even now. And so a big part of what we do is trying to preserve that and write it down, and so that in 20 or 50 years, it's still there.
It's still there, and that's very important. I do know, there are reports of hauntings out here, and lots of other places around in the immediate area. But regardless, this is an incredibly evocative space.
It really is. It's beautiful and authentic, buildings, historic buildings from the time period, original, are out here that you don't get in so many locations, even attractions that are purported to be historic.
100% true, and a great example of that, I won't name names, but there's a number of locations around town, oftentimes now defunct businesses that look like, for example, old log cabins, or old settlement or pioneer cabins, very hillbilly, very old-timey. And I'll have people contacting me going, oh my gosh, do you know the history of this historic location? Do you know anything about that? And then I actually, if I do know something about it, a lot of times I'm going, it was built in the 70s. As a tourist shtick, and it's very gimmicky, and now it's abandoned and it's falling apart, and it really looks old and
it's older than it is.
Very, very historic, when in reality it oftentimes isn't. There are two structures here at Shepherd of the Hills. One, of course, is the ice cream parlor, which is Lizzie McDaniel's house, that was moved down here from Springfield, and the other was not moved, and it is the original Ross homestead that was the inspiration for the an unbelievably popular best-selling book from 1907, I believe. It's 1907, 1908. I think it's 1907.
1907, I think, is first edition.
Yeah, and I always want to say 1908 because that was the year my grandpa was born, and my grandpa would quote Shepherd of the Hills to all the rest of us. Many, many years after he had read it, all the way up in southern Iowa.
There you go.
Which is a testament to the enduring power, of course, of Harold Bellwright's work. But that cabin is where Harold Bellwright, as an author, came down and stayed and literally camped in this immediate area and found the inspiration for creating his novel that then changed American literature at that time. And it really did. It's outside of Shepherd of the Hills country here, the Harold Bell Wright novel is often forgotten at this point, but 20 years ago, 30 or 40 years ago, it was not, even then. And the one thing that is, I think, fair to say is that novel, like I said, did change American literature at that time period.
It expanded American stories in a way that really hadn't been before.
Agreed.
And made them more prolific,
Yes.
more authors, more diversity, and there's a number of authors that probably would never have been published in the first half of the 20th century if it hadn't been for his books.
I agree. And he brought an amazing sense of regionalism.
Yes.
That regionalism then snowballed into wave after wave of tourism, starting in 1908. Immediately following the publication of the book, and then just continued. Branson would not exist today had that book not been written.
True, very, very true. And we are staying in Shepherd of the Hills Park.
Yes, we are.
Named for the book.
Yeah.
And a lot of tourism in this region has its roots in that book, one way or another.
It does, and this is, for the White River country, which is also known as Shepherd of the Hills country, this is ground zero. It really is. This is where it all began, and to me, that's exciting. It's cool to be out here.
It really is. It really is. And we have a lot of things coming up.
We do.
We have a bunch of events starting next week.
Yes, at State of the Ozarks Fest. Dark Ozarks will be there. That is Saturday, September 16th in downtown Hollister, historic Downing Street. Also a very haunted location.
Yes.
Do not have any hesitation about saying that.
No.
And Lisa and I will be there for a Meet Dark Ozarks event. Meet us at
State of the Ozarks Fest.
State of the Ozarks Fest. Our time to sit at the booth, sit at the tent, and visit with y'all is 5 p.m. But we'll be down there for the whole festival.
Yes, so you can come find us.
That's right.
You're welcome to come talk to us, and we have something interesting going on. That if you do like Dark Ozarks, and especially if you listen to the podcast, send us an audio clip through the Dark Ozarks website, darkozarks.com. Of what you like about Dark Ozarks, and it may be featured on the podcast.
That's exciting. And of course, an incredibly full schedule roster coming up essentially for the Halloween season.
Yes.
It's lots and lots of stuff. We're going to be all over the place doing all sorts of things. Check out, where do they all check out?
Dark Ozarks event calendar on Facebook, as well as on the Paranormal Science Lab page on Facebook.
Yes. And
paranormalsciencelab.com is where you can go buy all your tickets.
That's right. It's going to be good. We hope to see you at one of these events.
Yes.
Of course, State of the Ozarks Fest is free for attendees. And October 6th, Haunted Walking Tour and tour of the Old English Inn in downtown Hollister in conjunction with State of the Ozarks First Friday Art Walk.
That's right. And we've got some other locations coming up that we can't quite tell you yet, but new locations that we haven't been before that we'll be able to bring you along.
It's very exciting. Thank you all so much, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you.